So welcome to Exploring Art Mediums tonight. We are doing 2 Texas maps. You don't have to do it this way. I guess you could do it that way. You want to trace 2. 2 fit on a big sheet, that our favorite 11 by 15. And if you don't have an 11 by 15, you can just do it on a regular 8.5 by 11. It's not that much different size-wise. The easiest way to do this is to print this map out, and then go over to a window and hold this up on top, and you can see all the icons. If you trace during the day, you can see the icons underneath and you can trace it that way. I outlined it in pencil because I like to do my watercolors first, and then if I go out of the lines or change the shape or change my mind anyway, I can kind of adjust after I've painted it. Just a heads up, because I have this on my table, what we're going to be doing next month. And I just went to the store and got these gorgeous tulips, and we're going to paint some tulips. You guys get to decide if you want to paint these tulips, or whether you want to,
oh wow, those are pretty.
Aren't they gorgeous?
Yeah.
So I've arranged them here. I've taken a picture. I'll attach the picture to next month. And I kind of just started doing it with pastels. People can use their colored pencils or watercolor pencils or brush markers if you'd like. So let's just go with the chalk. It's always a test, because switching to the different medium, that's what this class is all about, is teaching you guys different aspects of that. We're going to be jumping between the 2 maps because we've got to let them dry in between. So we will go ahead and do some parts, and then jump back to the flowered one, and then jump back to the other one. So we're just going to go back and forth. What you need is a small liner brush for the outlines, or a really good pointed one. And then for the flooding, you can use a bigger brush. Okay, so here are my brushes I've chosen. Now this brush we'll use on the flowered map, but this one I'm just going to use a green, and then I've picked up around number 6, but see the point on that? I'm going to be able to do all my detail work with it. Okay. I'm going to start with the Texas map. And can you guys see this okay? Okay. And I need to do my reference. And you guys, I don't know if you printed out what we were going to be doing, but you have a color copy in those instructions too. So we're going to start with the blue. You have all these colors pretty much that we've got in this palette, and see, we're doing with dry too. It's just our dry spots are bigger than your dots. Okay, so I'm using ultramarine blue, or just a real navy blue, to do the blue on the Texas. And if you do more paint than water, you'll start out dark and you won't have to go over it a bunch of times. So then I'm just going to rinse. If I'm satisfied with the dark color of that, and I've gone into the shape well enough, so we'll go over to the Armadillo. Okay, so this guy gets completely colored in with gray. And how do we do gray? We do a black that's really watered down. So you can just rinse your brush and go ahead and pick up black, and you've got enough gray. And remember, your paintings, the paints dry lighter than they appear. You can leave, if you like little critters, you can leave like the inner part of his ears. If you want to do a dot of pink in there, just to make him look cute. You know, can armadillos look cute? So mine turned out a little bit dark. I'm gonna just blot it and see if I can pick up some of that. See, that worked out great to pick up some of that gray off of there. While I'm at it, I'm going to do the windmill that's right next door. Just all those blades, the galvanized metal. Remember, when we go over with our permanent ink, we get all the details. So you just want to, that's the only thing that gets colored on that whole thing. The other thing we can do right now with our black is do the oil. Okay, I did the guitar also, just a really light gray. I'm just even gonna just dip my paintbrush in some water and just go really lightly. It's a lot of water, so I'm gonna soak it up. I think I'm going to go over the whole thing. Go ahead and take the gray all the way up to the top of the guitar, the neck of it. I guess that's what you call it, the neck. And okay, let's go back. Now we can work on our flag again. And I'm going to dip in red and paint this square. Okay, red also in the heart. Now, that's it as far as the red goes. Okay, so we are going to take a rusty color. You guys see the boots okay? Do I need to magnify it a little? Okay, so we're going to, here's the boots. We're gonna do a rusty color, but we're just going to leave some white parts to make it look like they're embroidered. Okay, so I'm using burnt sienna. If you don't have a rust, just mix a brown and a red together, and that works. And the design on the stitching can be anything you want. It doesn't have to be what I did. I'm leaving the toes and the heels white, just for contrast. Now when we do the roping rope, we'll use just plain brown for that. Let me see if there's any other rust. Oh yeah, the football and the longhorn. So we'll go ahead and do those two. When you do the football, just leave the white stripes. Oh, you need to get good paint, thick paint. What did we call that? Buttermilk paint? Where you've got a good consistency. And if you want to, you can start dropping in the yellow ochre and see if you can do it. It might help to go ahead and start painting wherever it got spread. So you can try to lift it with the yellow ochre. So that's a golden color. The yellow ochre is a golden. So if you don't have the dark yellow, so here's bright yellow and then here's yellow ochre. It's almost like a mustard color. So you could add a little bit of brown to it, a yellow, to get that yellow ochre. I think we've given everybody yellow ochre. It's such a good basic one. Let's go back and do the rope that's brown that goes around the boots. And honestly, don't worry about, just do some doodles around. It doesn't have to be exact. And then you'll define it when you've got your black pen. And get the burnt sienna off your paintbrush and just use brown. And you want to get a good mixture again so you don't have to go over it too many times. Let's see, we need green, blue, yellow ochre. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our green. We're going to start with our light green. I don't know if you guys can see this. The light green, it's called yellow green. If you don't have a light green, you can make one just by using green and adding yellow to it over in a pan. But what I'm going to do is paint the cactus. And we're going to leave the little bud things purple, the little flower things. So I'm just going to start at the big knob, the little knob, the second one down, if that makes sense. And this side, when it has two, I'm just going to fill that in with the spring green, the yellow green. And then I might go in with a little bit of blue, I think. I'm just running in the blue. And I'm just grabbing some of the blue, any blue. And I'm gonna shadow it while it's wet. It just adds a little bit of fun to it. And it really just turns to a green, so your blue disappears. Okay, while that is still wet, I'm gonna drop in the purple because I want it to actually run a little bit. That's fine. And you can do pink on top, like it's got that fuzzy stuff on it if you want. Remember, it'll dry lighter. Okay. Then I'm going to jump over to our blue bonnet. I'm going to go back to my green and just do, I want to do a little bit of green up here on the stems because it does show on the blue bonnet a little bit. And that way when we do the blossoms, it'll peek through. Let's go over to our rocket. It's an old-fashioned kind of rocket. So we're just going to do blue at the top and around the circle and a couple of stripes, and then we'll do a gray I don't know, fins, whatever those are called, guidance. So I'm going to go into, if you got a set, I'm going to use Prussian Blue and a little bit of the ultramarine blue. I'll just kind of go back and forth. But I want the Prussian Blue because it's kind of a blue-green. Now the top of a blue bonnet, you can leave white if you want, or just dot it sporadically. And then you can start making your petals. And even the petals, you can leave little spots of white. It doesn't have to be completely blue or you lose the shape. Oh, you know what? There's brown on those boots. The heels and the soles are brown. Let's see, what was I gonna do next? Oh, the yellow ochre. Okay, so let's do the brown on the boots just because I forgot that. Okay, and then last, we have about 4 things that we need to use our yellow, 5 things that we need to use our yellow ochre on again. So try not to touch it. So yellow ochre. This is for the flagpole on the flag. And you want kind of a thick, again, thick, so you don't have to wait for it to dry too long. And you want a real nice gold color. Okay, now the other thing that gets a real strong gold is the Texas star right in the middle. So we have to, your red for your heart should be dry. And then we're going to do the cowboy hat just as dark as that star. And then when we get to the Alamo, we're going to leave the window and the door white, but we'll do a light wash of yellow ochre over that and a light wash on the horns of the longhorn cattle. Okay? So again, it's going to be dark on the hat. And then remember, you're just going to go with a lighter color on the horns. We're going to leave the rest of his face white. We're not going to color that. And then you're just going to wash the Alamo and then leave the door and the window white as you do it. We want that limestone color, I guess. It's a lot of little detail, but when you outline it with your pen, it's just going to pop. It's going to be gorgeous. Okay. I think I'm done. I think that's it. We're going to let this dry a good while we work on the other Texas. So, okay, so if you traced it, I made mine really, really dark. what I'd like you to do is erase that part right here in the L. And mine won't erase because I made it dark for you guys. And if you traced it with carbon paper, it might be hard for you to get the graphite off also. But what we'll do is we'll just use dark paint over on this side, and we're going to be making flowers right here. So for those that haven't seen this before, what we're going to do is we're going to just freehand 1, 2, 3 big flowers, and then we fill it in with littler flowers. Okay? And then we'll go in with green for leaves and things. And then we put the heart, I put the heart on San Antonio, or maybe that might be where my ranch is. But you know, you could do it at any place on the state that if you're sending this to someone, you know, that for Mother's Day or something, you may want to put the heart up on Dallas or Lubbock or some significant place, unless you want to just do it right here.
Like Spring Branch, Texas.
Spring Branch, Texas. There you go. Okay, I will keep this nearby because we'll be referring to this photo. And let's go ahead and just freehand these flowers. We're kind of laying them down on this L of the state. And we are going to be, I might use, actually, I think I'm just going to use this green Crayola paintbrush that we got it's a size 8. We got that during summer reading. Okay, and you can do it any color. I'm just going to do kind of oranges and red, pinks type of flower colors, but you may want to do it differently. We're going to just do the first one right about here. I'm just going to start. This is like one side of it. So it becomes kind of pink because it's so light. And then you can take more red and bring it around. And then this top part of the flower, you can just fill that in, but then I'm going to add orange on top of that. So while it's still wet, I'm just going to drop some orange in it because I want a multicolor petal. Now we kind of just let this one be just like that is, okay? The next one is just going to sit right next to it. I'm going back into the pink again, which is the red, and it's just going to come this way. Leave the center open. We're going to come back with black on this one. Now I'm going to leave the top a little flat because I'm going to bring the orange one, an orange flower right in there. So that's about all I'm going to do on this one. And you can, because the orange one will be covering it. And if you want to, you can go back in this first one and define down at the bottom again by adding some more red. You just play with it however you want to make it. They're very free form flowers, so don't worry about it. And then this next one that sits right here, I'm going to do yellow on top and orange on the bottom. So I'm going to start with my yellow. It'll be the top petal, and maybe some down there. Then I'm just going to go ahead and dip my paintbrush in the orange. Come around. Again, I'm leaving the center so we can put black in there. These are just impressions of flowers. Okay. Above this one is going to be a tulip, kind of a rose, sideways view of a flower. We're going to do purple on this one. I'm leaving this open in the middle so it looks like a tulip. And you can kind of do little C strokes on the sides to make more petals. Above that, I'm going to do a red cone, like a fiery, if you can see this, just this little red spike. Okay, 2 more flowers. It's really simple. The next one, we want it to look like a zinnia, something with a lot of petals, like a mum or a bachelor button kind of thing. So we're going to use the purple right here to kind of in this neck, but I want to leave room for leaves. So I'm going to put it out here and just do a dabbing motion with your paintbrush. So it's kind of spiky. And I'm actually going to drop a little bit of blue right in the center there. And then we can continue out with some more blue right out here. And we don't know what this flower is. Maybe a tulip or a, who knows, bluebonnets. But we're leaving space for leaves. We're going to go on to the leaves now, and we're going to start with our lightest green that we have. Again, that's this yellow green. And you can just start doing leaf shape. Leaf shapes are, you can do just sideways. You can do leaves in one stroke. I find it easier just to go down the left and then go down the right for a leaf. I do like points on it, and I also like putting 2 leaves together. If you don't like your shape, you can kind of push the extra paint back to the back of the color, so it's not pedaling up near the point. It should be back at the back of the leaf. And do another one right there. It's still wet, so it's gonna grab some of that color. I'm going to put several down here because I want it to come out. We'll cover this blue flower, and then up here too. You can put little stems if you want. Now my green is all this light green, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to make a puddle. I have a bunch mixed up right here, but what you do is you take this green and then you add a dab of black to it. And what that does is it takes it to an olive green. And so then you can add some other little leaves that are a different color. Or you could change some of these bright green ones to completely olive. Especially ones that are in shadow or you think they're underneath a flower. Or if, like in this case, we've got so many just right here, you need to define them because there's too many other leaves around it. So we're going to let this one dry, and then we'll go back and we'll do our heart and the inside of the flowers, and then we'll float the blue-green all over it. Okay? So I'm going to turn my painting around, and you guys can get the other painting out. We're just going to let this other one dry. And I want to paint now the yellow ochre through the whole thing. So to do that, I'm just going to wet it and then come back and drop color. So I'm going to take my paintbrush, and where I have pencil, I can just paint over the whole thing. I just want to skip the painted parts, okay? I may go back, I can't remember which size I used before. I'll start with the big one. You're just going to paint clear water in the state shape. And you want to get close to our colored part, but not really touching. You don't have to go between the little oil drops. Okay, so I'm just going to do this much. It's just this half, just this top part, because it'll start drying before we can get a chance to finish it. So I'm just going to go into the yellow ochre and paint. And you just drop it, the color, and you want to let it just float around in the color. You can guide it. Certainly you can guide it. It will have a life of its own, which is really cool. It makes it look kind of like an antique map that way. Okay, now I want to start doing water again when I get down to this bottom edge. I don't want to have paint that I'm painting on dry paper. So you don't really have to rinse out your brush, you just have to pick up a lot of water and start bringing more water in between all the little figures. And once you've done that, then you can come back and pick up. It's a little crazy going around all these things. Okay, I'm going to go back into my yellow ochre and drop some more. See, now that's really dark, but I'm going to spread it all out. So make sure you follow the bumps of the river. You don't leave those white. You can push that color around. Remember, it's going to dry lighter than you paint it. Okay, and that's where I stopped, so I need to go back and add water now to this area. Just make sure you I made the mistake of using a watercolor pencil to trace, and now that black is coming up into the yellow, so it's not the best choice. But when I use the black felt pen, I think it'll be okay. It's okay to have some spots that are darker than others. And you know, when you're down around the Alamo, you might want to go lighter on purpose. And I may even go back and do this hat darker in a minute, a second coat. I'm going in with water again. Okay, so I'm going to lift that. Remember to lift, you just drag that paint. You can put a dry brush, rinse out your paint. I'm going to lift that because I want it a little more contrast around the Alamo. And I'm going into the cowboy hat. Ooh, that was a mistake. Don't try to paint the cowboy hat yet. Okay. I'm just going to finish El Paso. It's the only place I know over there. What else is there? McAllen is maybe down there. Okay. And then I've got to darken this. So it's really obvious if you've gone out of your lines on these straight parts, which you can make up. You can kind of correct it by drawing a thick black felt pen line around the whole thing. Now, places where you got a little too light, you can go back in and darken. It's looking pretty good. Okay, I'm going to pause the camera, the recording for a minute. Okay, so we're going to let this part dry. We're going to go back to our other picture. And I'm going to leave the heart the very last thing because I can paint that, and then if the blue goes in there, I'm not going to stress out about it. Let's paint the inside of our plant, of our flowers, black. So these are like poppies that have the black center. Okay, so we need to do these 3 flowers, and then we'll float the rest of everything else. So I kind of want it spidery, you know, so I'm just doing, but again, it's got to have a lot of good ink on it, a good mixture of paint on there, so it actually defines it. So I'm basically doing really just a big star in there with a lot of spikes. There was a field in the olden days when I used to commute up from Austin, up in Blanco. If you went the back way to to that place that washed out, the bridge that washed out. Anyway, the back way, it had, this farmhouse had poppies through their whole field, these red poppies. They would come out once a year, and they had a big rusty tractor in the middle of it. It was gorgeous. It was really pretty. Okay, so that's the rest of the flowers. We're done with that. So this one, I am going to use my bigger brush, and you can even use the biggest brush if you want. But you won't be able to do real good outline around the state. So maybe I'll just stick with this one to do the outline. And then I can use the big brush in the middle if I want. So again, I'm just putting clean water down. I'm staying away from the flowers. We're going to start at the top of the state. And come on down. I'm going to go across the river. Okay, I've gone all the way around the design. Okay, so I'm leaving this half dry for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and start getting this wet. And the color I am choosing is this blue-green, this first one in the bucket, and it's called blue-green. So it's kind of a darker green. You can use a phthalo green. Phthalo green is the same color. Or Windsor green. And you could choose any color. You could do a pink. You could do a purple. It doesn't have to be. Do whatever color you want. And I'm just blotting it. I just want it kind of variegated, almost like a tie-dye look to it. I don't want any rhyme or reason. I want to be able to just drop in a lot of color. And just let it flow. This is my favorite thing to do, is just let it run wherever it feels like running. Okay, now what you'll see is you want it to keep flowing. You don't want it to stop it. So go ahead and keep drawing it down with more clear water, because we're going to go back and we're going to drop it where we want. But fill in the rest of the map. And you really have to go darker than you think you would like it, because remember, it kind of disappears. Here's the finished one. See how much darker it is? So I'm going to go back and do a lot of that dropping of color now. Manipulate your paper to make it run, but what it does is it smooths it out. So if you don't like all those, if you want to keep the variegated, then you might have to go back in and drop some more color. Okay. There. Check to make sure you got all the little bumps, all the around the coastline. Okay. We're going to go back and we're going to start outlining. Okay. Now, feel your paper. It should be cool. I mean, it should not feel cool, and that means it's dry. And you just go, you kind of have to go where you painted, not so much where the line is. We're going to go around the top of the flagpole. We can define the star. For the oil rig, remember we didn't paint any. I'm going to go around the oil spots because it smooths it out. And then it is 3 lines. And then it's just straight lines across. And then it's X's. So I just went from corner to corner all the way down. Okay. Let's get the rope out of the way. So you can just kind of, if you made a knot, if you did a little loop, that's fine. If you didn't, no big deal. You just keep going around the rope lines. Now the boots have those, you know, those finger holders that they put their fingers in the loops at the top of boots to pull them up on. We mark that, so we do this little rectangle at the top of the boot on both of them. And then you can draw the boot. Now, okay, so I did not go around the stitching or the marks for the heels and the toes with black, but you certainly can if you want. Oh, I guess I did on the one right here. So this is showing you what it looks like going over the toes. I kind of like it without better. Let me show you again. See, I didn't do that black lines right there. And then on this one, I did. So it just depends. I think I like it better without. I might just do the design too then. And then you can see 2 versions and choose which one you like. Okay, so there's the two different kinds. There's with the outline or without. I kind of like without. Oh well. Okay, so the armadillo, I did not paint his inner ear pink, but I am going to outline it. He just gets a black eye. I don't think he's got any whiskers or anything, but his armor is what you have to do, and it's jagged. It's jagged lines. And you can put little claws on the end of his toes if you want. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, that's off the camera. So I'm going to go and do the river top line. And down all the way down the side. Okay. So the windmill starts out with a circle in the middle. And then I think it's got 2 rings. Kind of like a bullseye. Okay. And then you're going to just, from that center ring, you're just going to go out and identify your blades. But it's just a line here, and then this top line spreads apart. It goes over the legs, so it hangs over this edge and that edge. Okay. So I'm just going to continue. You guys just do and just keep up. The football, easy to do. We've got our 2 stripes. And then our center stitching. I just made it a rectangle. It's probably an oval, but it's good. The guitar, what I didn't paint in black, I'm just gonna do with a felt pen. The little hole that you paint. And then this other little, I think it's a plate, this strumming part. And then we're going to go up to the top, around the neck, around the whole edge. And then the bridge, I guess it's called the bridge. I don't know my guitar parts. But I'm just going to run lines up the neck. I probably will only get 3 in there. And then the keys kind of just stick out from it. Heart on the Texas star gets outlined, and then the star. I may as well do the rocket while I'm on this side of the page too. Let's keep going. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things left. So I think I'll just do the Alamo. Now we're just going to draw a design in. We're going to go straight across and make it like a roof, like a porch roof. So just lines straight across and then just some columns. And then outline the door. The hat. You can add a string to the hat at the bottom with a knot and a loop. And while I'm on this side, I may as well just finish the coastline here. Okay, moving on to the blue bonnets. If you want to look at these, I did every single little petal. I outlined it in blue, or black, I'm sorry. And I outlined the leaves and the stem in black also. Okay, a poor little longhorn that I forgot his ears. This one. I'm going to add kind of 2 lines for the top of the ear, because his ears usually are a little bit turned down. And then he's got a ruffly little, what do you call it? Hair at the top. So his eyes are kind of slanted into the side. And then his nostrils are kind of on either side on the center. Okay, one more to go. Okay. So The cactus, I just outlined the whole thing, and then we'll go back and add the prickly part. And what we're going to do, let me see if I can enlarge that. We're going to just make little V's that look like the little stickers. You can put it out the top too. I mean, you could put it on the prickly pears. You could do something at the top if you want. Just kind of like that. Again, just finish off the outline. And I call it done. This one is done. Okay, see that purple? I don't know what I'm gonna do. Make it into a card, I guess. Okay. So the last thing we do, I'm gonna pause it and wait. Okay, so we have finished our Texas icon map. I think every time I do this, I learn some new things about it or want to add different things. So you can kind of make it however you want. What we need to decide now is what you want to do with this map. You can take the same black marker and go all the way around and go on your flowers, or you can leave the flowers and leaves alone, or you could outline them. So I left it alone on this one. I didn't put the black outline again, but I'm going to show you what it looks like to do the black outline. And I'm going to paint, first of all, I'm going to paint the part pink. Now, this is a test because I really like outlined flowers, but I just don't know if I'd like it on here. So I'm going to do that on here, and I'm going to make my petals. And then that makes it look like it's turned in and stuff, so it kind of dresses it up a bit. And by doing this inner line, it makes it look like the petals are turning inward. And it's kind of got a fold over look to it. Now on these bigger leaves, I'm going to go in and just do some lines with my black pen. Okay, so here's the difference between the two. Let me zoom out. And then you guys can see kind of what you would choose. Right? I kind of like the outlined myself. Let me outline the Texas part too. So you can choose. That's it for tonight. And thank you all for joining us. We had a great time. Hopefully you'll be able to frame these or put them, make it into a card, do something to give them away and for Mother's Day and Father's Day, or just keep it for yourself. Thanks for joining.